In this episode, we're going to be looking at licenses, setting up the tenant, and adding your first custom domain. Stay tuned. Okay, so here we are. We are looking at the licensing plans for Microsoft Business, and we also have the enterprise licenses here. So, depending on what sort of features you want, you may go for the 365 Business Basic as a starter. It does give you up to 300 accounts, allows you to have your own custom domain, gives you some spam and anti-malware filtering, and yeah, it's a basic plan. It won't come with some of the more advanced features that you get in, say, the Business Premium or the Microsoft 365 E3 and E5 licenses. So you'll need to have a look to see what features you want and decide which license you want to go for. You have the option of paying annually or monthly. Annually you'll save a bit of money, but at the same time, if you're paying monthly, if your headcount goes up or down month to month, then paying monthly might actually be a better option, because you can change your licenses every month, where annually, once you paid for it, you're stuck with it. So that might be something to think about as well. With the enterprise licenses, you've got your Microsoft 365, your Office 365, Frontline, and Non-Profit. And if you're looking for a license that has everything you could possibly want, the Microsoft 365 E5 license would be the one to go for. It has pretty much everything ticked. There are additional subscription add-ons that you can get, which won't be included with this, but those will be very specific subscription add-ons. The licenses no longer come with Teams as standard. That happened in April this year, I believe it was, worldwide. In the EU it happened a little bit earlier. So if you want to use Teams, then you'll need to buy the Teams add-on as well. So that's also something to bear in mind. If you want to have a look at the enterprise licenses to see a comparison, then there's this spreadsheet here, which has all of your enterprise licenses, and it's also got the Windows 11 and the Teams one. And as you can see, it says each license, it's marked for what it gets. And as you can see, the E5 has pretty much everything ticked, apart from when we scroll down. I was actually already past it. The Teams section here. So this is an add-on. There are also different add-ons for Microsoft Teams, but that's something you can look at a later date as well, like Teams Premium, Teams for Rooms, I think it is as well. Yeah, there's a few different options. If you're going for Microsoft 365, or if you're going for Office 365, sorry, and you're going with like the E3, E1, E1 just basically gives you web access to the apps. So if you're after someone who just has a mailbox and they're accessing it through the web, the E1 license is actually quite a good one to go for. If you're after something a bit more, then you've got the E3 and the E5. I'd probably advise adding the Enterprise Mobility and Security onto those as well, and so that you've got additional security there as well. But with the Microsoft ones, you're pretty much covered. So yeah, those are the licenses. For me, I'm going to be starting with a business premium, and I'm going to choose the 1 month. So as you can see, you can say how many people it's for. Because it's a month, ask an expert, oh thank you. You can get 25 licenses for free initially, if you want, if you're doing the trial. And yeah, you won't pay anything for the first 30 days, but after that, if you don't cancel, then you'll start paying for the licenses. And you need a credit card, obviously for the bill payments. You get all the same features as the paid products in the trial, which is good. And yeah, as it shows, the trial starts, or the paid subscription starts when the trial ends, and it shows you at the bottom some of the items you'll get. So yeah, I'm going to sign up, and I'll see you in the tent. Okay, and welcome back. So I'm now in the tent, and it was a bit annoying getting it set up. I chose the business premium, went through with all the payment details and everything, and it turned around and said it couldn't complete the authentication, even though I approved everything. And so what I ended up having to do was go into Marketplace, all products, and then here I tried searching for business premium, tried adding it that way, still didn't work. In the end, I ended up going with a Microsoft 365 E5 license, and for some reason that approved, and I'm not entirely sure why, but there you go. So yeah, it was very strange. As you can see, I now have the license. And I had to choose 25 licenses, so the maximum for the trial, for it to work as well. And I tried that with the business premium, and it still failed. So very odd. If you run into the same issue, you can close your web browser, reopen it, and you should, if you go to admin.microsoft.com, you should be able to sign in with the account you've created and get to the subscription bit here. And if you have the same issue, there won't be a subscription, you'll need to add it. So yeah. So we've chosen the license eventually, and we've created a tenant. We're now in the tenant, and the next thing we've got to do is add a custom domain. So just something before we get started, when it comes to the domain settings, if it's a existing domain and it's currently live and it already has settings in place, if you don't have the experience of working with DNS settings, please make sure either you're supervised by someone who has got the experience or get someone who is confident with working with DNS settings to make the changes. If it's a new domain and a new tenant and there's no settings in there already, then by all means have a go. You're not going to break anything. But if the domain is already in use with another tenant and it's got email configured, for example, you could break email delivery. So that's just something to be mindful of when we do this. Okay, so we're going to start with the domain. Now, I've already signed into my domain register, and I own us, so I'm good to go. So you'll either have a prompt here, or if you go to show all and go to settings and domains, add domain, you can get this screen here as well. If you don't have a custom domain, then when you go to set up custom domain, you can either, through the prompt, you can either add your own or you can buy one here. I've never bought one through 365, so I'm not entirely sure how that process works. So we're going to set up the domain, click continue. Now I'm just going to copy and paste. Click continue. Now, depending on the domain register, you might be able to sign in to it. Now, 365 knows my domain's with Ionos, so I can sign in and verify that way. I think you can do it with GoDaddy as well, and there's a couple of others. But I'm going to say more options. I'm going to add a verification record, click continue. And we want to add a text record. So I'm going to copy that. There we go. So it's detected the new domain, and it's let me change the domain name. So let me pause this for a second while we sort this out. Okay, so I've signed out and back in, and now it wants to connect to email. So go to more options. I'm going to choose to add my own DNS settings. I could sign into Ionos with Microsoft and let them add it, but I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. So click continue. And now this will show what text files it needs. So the first thing we're going to do is the MX record. So let's copy that. The MX. And let's see, so host name is blank. Points to that. We're going to set the priority as 0. And I'm going to set the TTL to 1 minute. Just for the purpose of this. Click save. So that's our MX record added. Now we are going to go to, we need to create a CNAME, so we're going to copy the value, and what this does is if you have this, when you're adding a email address to Outlook for the first time, when Outlook searches for the email address in Outlook 365, if you've got this entry, it should pick up the mailbox. If you don't have this, then it probably won't work. So we'll set that for 1 minute and we'll click save. And then the SPF record. So this is actually the first part of the next video we'll be doing. So let's go out to here, and we want SPF. Going to put that in as the value. Going to set that to 1 minute, and just to check, text name, there's nothing in the host. So we can click save. And that's it. That's our domain added. We've added the verification code, we've added the MX record, the SPF, and the autodiscover. So if I click connect email, I'm hoping it's worked. And there you go. And that's it. That is adding your custom domain. I hope you found this useful.